Assalamu alaikum students, I am Shakeel Ahmad. Today we will discuss the services of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. So first of all, improving relations between the British and Muslims. Already we have studied that the Muslims of India were being considered responsible for the War of Independence in 1857. So the British had put the whole responsibility for the war on the Muslims. The Hindus and other groups were considered to be loyal and prepared to assist in governing India, but the Muslims were seen as rebellious and unhelpful. Sarsid actually wanted to ensure that this false view was corrected, and he wanted to erase that thinking adopted by the British towards Muslims. Furthermore, there was a resentment of British in the Muslims. This was based on the fact that the British were seen as foreign invaders, and the Muslims they had adopted a boycotting policy towards British. They disliked their Western culture, and they were thought to be trying to replace Islam with Christianity. Means the Muslims were thinking about the Christians that they were doing so. Syed Ahmad Khan wanted to ensure that the benefits and advantages of British rule were embraced by the Muslims to improve their living standards. In this regard, Syed Ahmad Khan took measures to convince the British that the Muslims were not culprits, they were not responsible, and they were loyal to the British rule. So, in this regard, in 1860, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan wrote The Loyal Mohammedans of India to show that the Muslims were loyal, and furthermore, he gave the detailed accounts of loyal services what Muslims had rendered, and Sir Syed Ahmad Khan furthermore had quoted the names of various Muslims who had shown loyalty towards British. He asked the British to end the hostility towards Muslims. He wrote a pamphlet called Essay on the Causes of Indian Revolt and pointed out the main causes for the war. In that pamphlet, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan courageously considered the British responsible for the war. So he put the liability and responsibility of war upon the British. The pamphlet was circulated free amongst the British officials in India as well as to the members of Parliament in England. Even the members of the royal family had received the copies of the same pamphlet, means essay on the causes of the Indian revolt. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan made it extremely clear that the Muslims used the term Nadra for the British, and the British thought that it was their insult. And now Sir Syed Ahmad Khan made it clear that that term was taken from Arabic word Nasir, and it meant a helper. So the Muslims were using that term in respect for the British, not to insult them. So the term was a reflection of the positive image Muslims had of the British. So it was all about convincing the British that Muslims were very loyal towards the British crown. Convincing the Muslims. So after the War of Independence, the British were actually repulsing the Muslims. So it was disastrous for the Muslims. On other hand side, the Muslims themselves they had adopted a boycotting policy towards the British. So in this regard, it was necessary it was being thought necessary by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan that not only to convince British but to convince Muslims as well, as so that the Muslim turn positively towards the British. So Sir Syed Ahmad Khan was aware that British knew very little about Islam, same way the Muslims had little knowledge of Christianity. So he tried to overcome by writing Tabayyunul Kalam, in which he pointed out the similarities between Islam and Christianity. Actually, it was the narration or explanation of Bible. Uh, Sarjit Ahmad Khan established the British Indian Association to increase cooperation between the two communities, being the Muslim and the British. Next is encouraging the growth of Western education. Hindus were extremely keen to learn the English language after the War of Independence, and they were acquiring a British education. So it helped them to gain high rank jobs in British government. Sarjit Ahmad Khan took steps to change Muslim attitude towards receiving British education. Already the Muslims were on boycott, and they got their kids out of the British schools. So this proved damaging for the Muslims. Now, in this regard, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan thought uh, to take some years for the betterment of Muslims. So he set up an Urdu journal called Tehzeebul Akhlaq, which contained articles from influential Muslims. In 1863, Sasid founded the Scientific Society at Ghazipur, whose purpose was to translate the scientific writings and books from English, Persian, and Arabic into Urdu. At that time, the they were illiterate, and they knew nothing about English and other languages. So Sasiya thought that it was very necessary that they should learn the scientific studies. So, on the panel of scientific society, different Western studies and books were being translated into Urdu. In 1866, he issued a journal called Aligarh Institute Gazette. In 1859, he opened a school in Muradabad, and in 1864, he set up another school at Ghazipur. In 1869, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan visited England, and there he visited the University of Oxford and the University of Cambridge. He very keenly observed the system of education over there, and on the way back when he came to India, he set up MO High School in Aligarh in May 1875. So, uh, the same school was upgraded to the status of college after 2 years in 1877. Um, that college was called MU College, and it offered both Western and Indian education. Further Islamic studies were being taught over there. Many of the future leaders of Pakistan were educated from the same institutions set by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. Means Aligarh movement provided a very solid leadership for Pakistan movement. In 1886, Sir Syed set up another very important organization, institution. It was called Muhammadan Educational Conference, whose aim was to raise educational standards among the Muslims. Its another objective was to produce the funds for the educational institutions running under Aligarh movement. In 1920, the college became the University of Aligarh. Increasing political awareness. Sarjit Ahmad Khan wrote essay on the causes of the Indian revolt. Already we have discussed, and the loyal Muhammadans of India. So it was all about to convince the British towards the Muslim that they were loyal, and it was just to create goodwill and good relationship between the two communities. Sachit also wanted friendship with Hindus as well as uh, 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 but very soon he realized it would not be possible, uh, especially in 1867 uh, after the incident of Urdu Hindi controversy. Uh, Another political service of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. In 1885, Indian National Congress was framed out with the purpose that it would work for the safeguard of the rights of all the Indians without the discrimination. After 1890, um the Muslims observed, especially Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, that Indian National Congress was working uh, only for the rights of Hindus, and it was working for uh, Hindu nationalism. So, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan uh, 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 declared that the Indian Muslims should stay away from the Congress, and it had no business with the affairs of Muslims. Now, furthermore, the political representation, Congress suggested to implement the democratic system of political representation in India. It means uh, uh, Congress was in the favor of majority community in the government. So obviously in India, Hindus were in majority, and they were 4 to 5 times more than the Muslims. So in any future government setup or political setup, the domination would be into the hands of Hindus. That's why Sir opposed that plan, because Hindus were 4 times more, as earlier we have discussed. They could occupy all the political seats. Next one is the competitive examinations. So Congress had suggested that all the uh, government jobs should be filled through the competitive examinations. So Sir Syed Ahmad Khan opposed. Why? Because the Muslims, after the War of Independence, they got illiterate, and on other hand side, Hindus, they got modern and English education. That's why now there was no possibility of less educated Muslim to get high rank jobs in government sector, and all the jobs could be occupied by Hindus because they were well educated. And Sarsi further declared that Muslims were not given the equal education opportunities. So it was said that it was not fair that the government jobs should be filled through competitive examinations. So it was another service of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan.